Abnormalities are a cornerstone of the Project Moon universe. They're likely what drew a lot of people to give Lobotomy Corporation a try, a foolish mistake, which in turn spawned off the rest of the lineage of the PM games, which all also happen to feature these guys. For that, they have my thanks. However, there are some certain Abnos that get more attention than the others, sometimes a lot more attention, and likewise some have been left to rot in the dregs of Lobotomy Corporation, perhaps unjustly. If you're the kind of person who likes watching videos on topics they know nothing about, I'm the same, no judgment casted, and you're looking for an explanation of what exactly any of this is, here isn't the place for that, and I don't have a nice concise video to point you towards. Sorry about that. But to keep things brief, I'll be looking at Lobotomy Corporation abnormalities that I'd like to see return to Limbus in one way or another. There are a few unique abnormalities in Runia, but they're mostly part of a set, i.e. the Magical Girls or the Oz Fellows, or they're Pinocchio. Also, I haven't played the game, so there's that. Now, if you're a lore scholar, you know that these Abnos in their original form can't return, at least outside of Wahlberg. I believe they are currently booked, but that does not mean aberrations of them cannot exist, as is the case for, well, I list them, but there's quite a few. So keep in mind that I'm just using the original Abnos name and design for simplicity's sake, and that in all likelihood they vary heavily from what I'm presenting. To prevent myself from covering way too many Abnos for my own good, and also for the sake of this video's length, I restricted myself to just one of every risk level, which also grants me some nice structure, so there's that. Anyways. No, I'm not fucking around. If you aren't aware, Don't Touch Me is the abnormality that does nothing, and if you try to do anything with it, you lose. Try to work on it, everyone's dead, or they're insane. Try to open its details, all the Abnos in the facility get mad. Try to click on the deployment phase, congratulations, you just dropped your phone. If you have questions, I understand. I don't earnestly believe this would make for an interesting abnormality encounter, not on its own, at least. Don't Touch Me, I think, would work best as a sort of supplement for another fight, due to the fact that it disguises itself as other abnormalities that don't instantly kill your entire facility. Picture this. Take Don't Touch Me and then slap it down next to, I don't know, John Abno. First turn, the button is just the button. Let's say I won't be as silly as it is in Law, but you can look at its page, target it, whatever you want to do. But when it's hit, it'll proc some absolutely absurd counter skill. Second turn comes around and, hey, wait a minute, there's two John Abnos. Well, now, obviously there has to be a way to differentiate for how subtle that should be. I don't know. Alongside the non-tangible gimmick of forcing you to pay attention whenever it shows up, it also have the effect of making high attack weight or indiscriminate skills incredibly scary to use, considering how some of the most powerful eagle in the game come out with a significant attack weight. Just having this stupid little button beside another threat could legitimately force you to rethink some scenarios that would have otherwise boiled down to use the big ego. Hit the button and the button hits you. 1.76 megahertz, I'll just call it 1.76 since that's a bit of a mouthful, is more or less an abnormality that's just a radio frequency that induces hallucinations of static. Okay, I promise I have a vision here. Obviously, you have to give it a physical form to actually fight it. It's a radio frequency, so maybe some kind of mechanical radio thing, I don't know. 1.76 is all about the idea of being a recording of some kind of terrible, mostly forgotten incident, existing to make people remember it while making you freak out at the same time, making them aggressive. Though in LobCorp this doesn't exist, it just slaps some static in the facility that does sanity damage. Honestly, I like it from a thematic standpoint, and its ego is generally pretty cool looking. When it comes to a fighting the abnormality perspective, I think it'd be neat if you had to tune the frequency of the radio by hitting a dial to make it go down or up one, depending on which one you hit, obviously. You probably want to keep it at 1.76, though I admit that doesn't really make sense. I'd also make it go up or down one notch, per se, for every hit, rather than just each attack, so it's harder to manage than just, evening out your attack equally. He, I think it's pronounced Hey, is interesting in that I don't have a standout pick here. I've been avoiding treading on Abnos that have made an appearance in Runia, since it's both more intriguing to see otherwise unseen Abnos, and there's already a precedent to how they'd work in a sort of adjacent system to Limbus, so they're not as interesting to think about mechanically in my eyes. And taking that into account, Hey has some less than stellar options, so let's just do a quick lightning round, go over some Abnos, why they're neat, what I like to see from them. You get it, come on. Giant Tree Sap. It's a tool Abno that hasn't made any other sort of appearance. It kind of reminds me of the Bull Pantheons on Legerdemain. Not sure if that's intentional, but I can imagine that it is. Not necessarily mind-blowing mechanically, it's pretty boring, though in its story log it mentions a giant tree in the outskirts. I can imagine that maybe being a neat place to go to at some point, maybe. Latitia, I don't know how to pronounce this. It's just a pretty cool abnormality overall. Both her and her scary-ass spider thing have neat designs. She has more than plenty going on mechanically and thematically. Yeah, I'd like to see an aberration of her show up. Also, her ego is stylish as hell. For some reason, her ego is also just named, Latitia. I'm not sure how many other Abnos have that, but I thought it was worth mentioning. I really like Schadenfreude. Its appearance is genuinely disturbing. It has a unique mechanic that gives it a notable identity. It has a clear-cut theme of anxiety and paranoia that's demonstrated through how it works in-game. Probably one of the most underrated Abnos out there in my eyes. Hey, get it? It's good, right? Okay, putting that aside, all that is great, except its central gimmick is that it gets mad when you look at it. In a game like Limbus, that doesn't easily translate, at least not when it'd likely be your main focus in an encounter. Though I still think Schadenfreude could work really well as an ego. Its weapon in Lobotomy Corporation has a damage over time effect indicated of bleed, so I'd probably help out with that, and maybe give some kind of effect based on how many number of slash targeted the unit, so, you know, it's like attention, kinda. WoW has the exact opposite problem than hey, there are too many good Abnos. I mean, like, 2 out of the 3 birds are here. Yang and Yin, La Luna, Clouded Monk, The Naked Nest. Hey, hear that? Actually, how long has been the video going on for? More than 2 minutes and 30 seconds, right? Nah. No, once more, I am not fucking around. Express Train to Hell is overshadowed a bit by its infamy, not that every piece of that reputation isn't justified. For those unaware, here's a quick rundown. Little devil guy at the booth, every 30 seconds one of these lights here flick on, up to 4 of them. If you work on it, you get both health and sanity back, pretty sweet deal, except if all 4 lights are on and 30 seconds pass, the trams comes true, moving from one side of the screen to the other, bringing proverbial and perhaps literal hell to whatever it makes contact with, and then vanishing off to the pits from whence it came. Though, unfortunately, there's not much here to work off of for an adaptation in Limbus. I mean, what are you even going to fight? The train? Yeah, alright, okay, hear me out, please. When you fight Express Train to Hell, I'd imagine either Mephistopheles or maybe the Refraction Railway train, if this fight happened to be in Railway, gets taken into one of these portal things that the train comes out of and onto a track beside the express train itself. Somehow the sinners get on top of their respective vehicle and boom, high-speed chase. I think the train could either acquire limbs and throw hands, or summon goons to battle you. Probably they'd be like demon people with their faces obscured like the booth attendant. The minion option makes more sense to me, so I conceptualize it as a Baba Yaga style fight. I know, that fight sucks, but I think the idea could work. In fact, it might work nearly identical, since a death timer would make a hell of a lot of a sense considering how it functioned in LobCorp. I'd also have the same sort of ticket mechanic, where the closer you get to hitting that 4-turn limit, the more HP and sanity is restored between the waves. I think 3 waves would be for the best here, starting with maybe the passengers, then the stewards of the train, and finally the conductor. Having them be aggressively oriented would be more interesting than the Baba Yaga fight, since that focused more on stalling you if you could even identify any meaningful strategy in these kits other than hitting you, but trying to get in as much damage as possible will keep the fight short and sweet even if you lose, and give the ticket healing per wave more of a purpose. As for the enemies, I'd have them be burn and sinking, maybe? They might be smoke, since that's newly introduced, but there's no set modus operatum for a smoke unit's kit established yet, so that's kinda it. I don't have a good transition. Aleph, huh? The big boys of Abnos, or girls, or genderless beings, or this thing. They're the stars of the show, sometimes literally, and deserve a level of careful consideration in how they get added to the game. That said, there isn't a single Aleph that I'd be disappointed to see again. Probably the worst one in my eyes is Army of Black, or In Black. However, if I, Limbus Company fan number 443100, am bestowed the honor to select the first and foremost Aleph to make a returning appearance, it's the Silent Orchestra. Wow, shocker, it's not like that was in the thumbnail or something. But every aspect of it, I think, is stellar. From its wickedly cool monochromatic design, excellent theming that seeps into every part of it, the level of mechanical complexity on display, and the lore relevance it almost had, final observations are totally canon, guys. Trust. It is the number 1 Aleph that I'd like to see in the game, in some way or shape or form or whatever. How would I put it into Limbus, though? Well, not how Runia did it, that's for sure. Considering the Alephs are untouched territory, I'm not gonna fully conceptualize anything. I would mostly like to see callbacks to its LobCorp days, a rotating set of immunities for, like, phases of sorts, and a focus on dealing sanity damage. Though I like if these goobers played a role beyond just sitting there. They don't have to, but that'd also be nice. Also, is it just me, or does the Silent Orchestra look kinda bisexual?